all aboard for your chance to win $1,000 every week until December 28th. That's right, $1,000 cash just in time for the holidays. To hop on board, just head to ChurchillMortgage.com and punch your ticket to the Churchill Express giveaway. Visit ChurchillMortgage.com for your chance to win big.
This is a paid advertisement. NMLS ID 1591. NMLSConsumerAccess.org. Equal housing lender. 1749 Mallory Lane, Suite 100, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027.
Hey, it's Carl, and I'm looking at something on X, which has been sent to me by a friend in Portugal, and it's about myth, and it's a name I'm not familiar with, so I'm going to share it with you now because I think it's very deep and interesting. And this is a post by somebody called Jash Delani, the old books guy, and his post is a thread, a series of posts, a thread on X. And let me tell you more about this person, Nicolás Gómez Dávila. As the world gets crazier, says Jash, there is one name you will hear more often. That is Nicolás Gómez Dávila. He wrote one book, and he published only in capital letters there, 100 copies. But he's the best teacher on why societies need myths to live. Without myths, collapse is inevitable. And here's the thread. And I think the illustration we're seeing there is quite possibly the fall of Rome, but it's mythological and metaphorical, multi-purpose. Not metaphorical, it's artistic, isn't it? An artistic representation of the fall of a civilization. And it's not a pretty sight. So post number one in this thread from Jash, number one, quoting Dávila here, violence is not necessary to destroy a civilization. Each civilization dies from indifference towards the unique values which created it. So his first post, a culture that ignores its distinct DNA, this is Jash's words, and embraces homogenization is signing its own death warrant. And in Dávila's words, violence is not necessary to destroy a civilization. Each civilization dies from indifference towards the unique values which created it. Okay, post number two then in this thread from Jash, the opposite of myth is not rationality but shallowness. As Dávila puts it, the enemies of myth are not the friends of reality, but of triviality. Myths deal with deep and timeless questions. To throw all myths out of the window is to only be left with trivial queries. That's damning, isn't it? It feels painfully accurate. Occurs to me as painfully accurate. And is that some sort of illustration from the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel or something similar? Anyway, beautiful Renaissance. Am I right in saying that? Renaissance style illustration. Post number three then in this thread, Dávila on the condition of modernity. He quotes Dávila, the modern tragedy is not the tragedy of reason defeated, but of reason triumphant. And I especially like this. It may be that Dávila joins my favorite writers, Barry Long, How to Stop Thinking, of course, and How to Rid Yourself of Unhappiness. And the Japanese chap whose name I can never remember, but who wrote the book, The Way of No Thinking. I think this is all leaning in that sort of direction. The modern tragedy is not the tragedy of reason defeated, but of reason triumphant. Reason is a useful tool, continues Jash, but it can't become the sole yardstick for judging all of life. We don't suffer from irrationality, but over rationality. I'll repeat that. We don't suffer from irrationality, but over rationality. 10 out of 10. Jash, post number 4. Are you actually free, or do you just never venture far enough to feel the noose around the neck? Oh my God. Dávila's quote then on this, modern man is a prisoner who thinks he is free because he refrains from touching the walls of his dungeon. Stay inside the Overton window and you can pick the iPhone color. That's Jash's additional commentary there. Dávila's own quote is, modern man is a prisoner who thinks he is free because he refrains from touching the walls of his dungeon. Ay, ay, ay. Jash continues with post 5 directly with a quote from Dávila. In an age in which the media broadcast countless pieces of... let me read that again. In an age in which the media broadcast countless pieces of foolishness, the educated man is defined not by what he knows, but by what he doesn't know. Let me try that 1/3 time so I can read it correctly for you. But I think you get the gist. And there's an illustration there of Donald Trump pointing at the media saying, "You are fake news." Dávila then, in an age in which the media broadcast countless pieces of foolishness, the educated man is defined not by what he knows, but by what he doesn't know. And Jash continues, being uninformed is better than being ill-informed by an incompetent and corrupt press. Number 6, with a rather chilling bit of brutalist architecture right there, a massive housing development, and I use the term development advisedly. 6, Dávila on contemporary architecture. His quote, modern man destroys more when he builds than when he destroys. Ouch! Certain forms of creation are worse than destruction, continues Jash here, adding commentary to Davila's words. But because destruction just leaves emptiness behind, but built ugliness actively pollutes the world. Jash, one more time. Certain forms of creation are worse than destruction because destruction just leaves emptiness behind, but built ugliness actively pollutes the world. You don't have to go far to see some of that, do you? Number 7 then in this thread of posts, Dávila on the relationship between the right and the left. I wonder, so he must have written this in the last few hundred years then. Ideas, or a couple of hundred years, right? The ideas of political left and right, they're fairly recent, are they not? His quote, Davila's quote, ideas of the left give birth to revolutions. Revolutions give birth to ideas of the right. Idealism without realism creates disastrous revolutions that only hard-nosed pragmatists can salvage anything from. And I guess that comes from disasters as well. The Marques de Pombal comes to mind here in Portugal, and there's a illustration. It looks like Grand Theft Auto type graphics, and somebody walking down the street. Ah, shit! Here we go again. Revolution. Here we go. Post 8 in this thread from Jash Dolani. This aphorism from Dávila made my head spin for 2 days. So I imagine this is a good one. The quote then from Dávila that made his head spin for 2 days. The genuine coherence of our ideas does not come from the reasoning that ties them together, but from the spiritual impulse that gives rise to them. The genuine coherence of our ideas does not come from the reasoning that ties them together, but from the spiritual impulse that gives rise to them. Your unified worldview, says Jash, won't come from logic, but from a deeper impulse. And that deeper impulse is crying out at the moment. Well, actually, it never cries out, does it? We are crying out to hear it. We're yearning for it. And it's just there. Boop, 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 just emanating from the deep, whichever metaphorical, mythological deep you think of, that the spiritual impulse just keeps sounding, doesn't it? Whilst we're blaring all over the top of it. Post number 9 then in this thread, Davila's important warning. Those who proclaim that the noble is despicable end up by proclaiming that the despicable is noble. Oh, that's familiar. A society that cannot defend its noble from its despicable has no future. The quote from Dávila there is just that first or that middle part there. Those who proclaim that the noble is despicable end up by proclaiming that the despicable is noble. Oh, my goodness. Number 10, a great sense of loss permeates all. I'm going to save the image here because I think this needs to be the cover art. So let me just save that as I'm speaking. Now that's that saved. 10, a great sense of loss permeates all of Davila's aphorisms, including this. Civilization seems to be the invention of a species now extinct. There you go. Civilization seems to be the invention of a species now extinct. Jash continues. Beauty is a rare, fragile, and temporary spark lit against the unending darkness of the ugly, the uninspiring, the mid. The mid what? I'm not sure, but anyway, the mid. All epochs exhibit the same vices, but not all show the same virtues. In every age, there are hovels, but only in some are there palaces. Oh my goodness. Very powerful stuff. Grateful to Jash Dolani for this, who is curating the insights from Dávila and other brilliant aphorists like him here. Gallery of the Greats. And let me just, that's not a link. But anyway, Gallery of the Greats is somewhere you can go where you can see Rochefoucauld on fake virtues, Napoleon on logic, Nietzsche on the false virtue of humility, and more. Oh, there's the link to it there. Okay, I'll make a note of that. Let's go back Let's make sure we've covered all of that. Feels to me like it's going from some rather excellent insights that are being shared there into a sort of an intellectual repository of them. I mean, I think it's useful that they're kept, but we can fall into the danger, can we not, of having priests, I suppose. So not putting this into practice ourselves, but deifying the dead who said them and turning it into a cult or some sort of lifeless university type appreciation of something rather than just damn well putting it into practice in real life. I'm not accusing Jash of that, but that is the danger, isn't it, with these sorts of things? And I'll take it at face value that his Gallery of the Greats is an homage and maybe a time capsule or something of beauty that's there should anybody want access to it. And I applaud you, Jash, for sharing this person with us, Dávila, who I've never seen or heard of before. And I thank my friend in the Algarve, who may not wish to be named, but you know who you are, and I thank you for it. And there are some good, no doubt be some good comments on X as well, so I'll put the link to it into the chat as well. And I thank you for your attention here. Yes, have fun.
Come ring in the new year in Denver. Celebrate with parties, champagne toasts, live music, and dazzling fireworks. Catch the firework displays from the 16th Street Mall at both 9 p.m. and midnight. And come check out the incredible Mile High Tree, presented by Xfinity, a free one-of-a-kind lights experience. Enjoy sparkling new adventures for a spectacular new year, only in the Mile High City. Plan your celebration and find great hotel packages at milehighholidays.com/NYE.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.